It's Sunday night. Welcome to Steve's Place. It's the day before Labor Day. Burning Man. Man is already burned last night, I guess. And it's a new month is getting ready to begin tomorrow. So it should be quite the event here. Anyway, um, just a few housekeeping things got out of the way. Uh, I'd like to encourage those of you who aren't members of our YouTube channel to consider becoming a member. Right now, we have all the extraordinary technology conferences up there up till 2022 through 2022 up there. The 23, I think, is up there. The exotic research conferences, we have all those up there. The Global Science Congress is up there. And we're getting ready to do the Conference of Free Energy soon. Some of the things we're doing is we're getting ready to move, so I don't know what it's going to look like next week. But in the meantime, if you want to help us out, become a member of the YouTube channel. It's $9.99 a month. To get there, all you have to do is go to our homepage, TeslaTech.info, and click on the yellow box there. If you click on the TeslaTech channel, it takes you right to our channel. You can subscribe, which is free, and then later on become a member, which is $9.99 a month. We also have a conference directory up there. If you know what conference you want to see, they're all listed there. The same thing as speaker directories. And of course, we have a shortcut to Steve's Place Live. And these older conferences are really important, because seeing the past, through tomorrow, a lot of stuff that we think is the hot stuff of the day was pioneered years ago. A lot of it has. But you just can't find this information anywhere on the web anymore, or anywhere in writing. It's getting harder and harder to find. So I encourage you all to become a member. Also, if you're watching on YouTube and that, don't forget to give us the thumbs up, on the bottom there to influence the search engine so people know where to find us at. We have over 1,500 videos up there now. I'm getting ready to put a lot more on there. As soon as we move, we'll be in a position to where we'll have a full-blown capability to take and convert VHS into DVDs, and we can do the other 1,500 videos we got laying around. So become a member, help us out, become a member, and stay a member. I know this is a monthly thing. I know it's a big thing to people. I know every dollar counts. It counts for me. I'm sure it counts to you. So, and for those of you who want to see this year's conference, it's still available. Go to our website, TeslaTech.info. You just go here and when you see this image on the main page, just click on that image and it'll take you to the sign-up page, which is going to kind of look like something like this. And you'll be able to sign up for the conference there. And you buy these recordings once, so $99. You pay once, and it's yours forever. So it's a good thing. And if you also want to help us out and give us a donation, we always appreciate that. The money is put to good use. We don't waste money around here. We don't have enough of it to waste. We also have T-shirts for sale, and pretty soon I think we're going to start getting merchandise for sale. That's a project that our guys at HOTU are working on. They're also working on a way to where you can gift a subscription or gift a conference to somebody. And we're working that out right now. As we get that done, we'll be putting the details out here. And all I can say is, if you haven't gotten it yet, do it soon. And anytime you spend money on TeslaTech, most of it, anything that comes our way, always ends up rebuilding the company and adding on to it. There's a constant need for equipment, constant need to do preparation for next year. These conferences, take a lot to put on. Uh, in fact, we're one of the few conferences remaining that actually put together a written program, and we try to mail it out to everyone, so they know what to expect at the conference, who's going to be at the conference, and even then, there are some surprises. We can't control what goes on at a conference. Once we put out the program, and that I kind of try to keep it cast in stone, because I think well, the more you change things, the more it costs. Okay, so we try to keep our costs down and everything, and we advertise for something. It's our, I wouldn't say guess. People make commitments to be there for it, and for whatever reason, things change sometimes. Disasters do happen. And we just have to roll with the punches and everything. We've been very fortunate in the past, to have some great substitutes, who are every bit as good as those who were originally scheduled. And I always try to schedule a related talk. It's like if an energy person misses, I try to get another energy talk. So it just works better that way. And this year we were very fortunate. We didn't have no shows, so it was unusual in that respect. And like I say, things are moving forward. Next week I'll be putting out a call for papers. So if you get this, in your mailbox, and someone who may be interested, just forward it to them. And who knows what this year will bring. I mean, I don't even know, till the last second. Like Terrence Howard was 11th hour, 13th hour edition, and we were very fortunate to get him. We tried to get in contact with him last year, didn't work out. This year we were able to make contact, So anyway, I'm gonna have to address a few more things. And if you have an idea for a good catch the image in that, for like a t-shirt, that, let us know. Maybe we can use it. Don't mind it, use it as a fundraiser or something. Later on this week, I should know Tuesday. I should know if this house is going to go through or not. If it does, then we'll be. I don't know what my schedule will be. I don't know if we're going to be able to have a show next week or not. One of the things I want to do is take you guys on a tour of the place once if we get it, and let you see what we have to work with. I'm looking to move out of the city. I've always been a country kind of guy. I live, I feel more familiar than out in the middle of nowhere than I do anywhere else. It's always been that way. I went to school in a country school, but I was very fortunate. Our school was very top notch, and we had a great band. The band was known. Well, it went to the Rose Bowl from Illinois, so you can imagine how good our band was, And we had a good choir. I was a member of the speech club. My thing I would compete in would be impromptu speaking and also newscasting. I've always been tied in with the news. So I think I think a good public education is great. I think it's better than being in a private school. Because in a public school, you learn how to play in the sandbox, and you learn how to take on everyone. Was a big bully or someone who's too shy. You know, you learn how to get along with everyone. That's the great blessing of a public school. Plus, it gives us all a common um, curriculum. And for those who might have bad things to say about schools and that, all I can say is every school has problems. You know, I don't care what school you go to, you're going to have them. I don't care if it's public or private. It's all going to have problems because that's the way life is. However, and you have no really control over that. But what you do have control over is how you respond to it. Like, do you go to all the parent-teacher meetings and that? Do you get involved in the school system to help make it better? You know, and if the answer is no, then what are you complaining about? You know, if you're not interested enough to get involved, then why go? And the same thing could be said of like research. You know, for those of us who are out here digging into the future research and everything, great. You know, it needs to be done. Someone needs to do it, and unfortunately, there's just a few of us who can do it. And right now, we're kind of on hold right now because our guest speaker, Joe Blanton, unfortunately has some. He lost his connection all of a sudden, and he's trying to figure out what happened to the connection. So in the meantime, we'll just go on, and we'll kind of like go with the flow and have an open forum there. If anyone has a question, just send it into the comment, you know. And here you go, Alcar. I learned in spite of my schooling and government indoctrination. Well, the one thing schools are meant to do is to give everyone a common background. Okay, and so like we all are talking from a common spot. We all know what what our history should kind of be like and everything. And yeah, there may be differences and everything. My only problem with some of the school really is that sometimes when these guys are teaching like science and technology and that, they're teaching everything in absolute, and everything is not absolute. Science in its purest form is nothing but a voyage of discovery. And we're constantly learning new information. And as we learn new information, we have to incorporate it into our existing models. Okay, it's very important that we do that. You know, otherwise, we cease to progress with our knowledge. You know, our search of knowledge, and it's kind of like the six blind men and the elephants. You know, everybody gets to see it from a certain point of view. And what we kind of do here at TeslaTech is by providing an overview of all the different views, maybe a mosaic is being formed here where we can see what's going on, you know, and maybe have a better interpretation of what's going on. Like last week when Vernon was talking about how that Navy guy instructor said that toroids, the Navy found that toroids can be tuned to produce over unity. That's why they haven't gotten rid of the toroidal stuff. Well, that struck a note with me because now I'm looking at the Kipper motor, which I worked on, and what was producing over unity. I'm thinking, well, maybe all those coils there were kind of like a crude toroid, and from that we were able to take and tune that to actually produce over unity. Because I know what I saw, you know, and I also know that while you can't trust, you can't trust instrumentation sometimes, you know, because you can slide and mistake, you know, the scale that's on it and that, you know, and think you're seeing something you're not. The one thing that you can't really fake is a torque. Something's either going to move or it's not going to move, you know, and when something moves, you know that's reality, okay, and that's to come when the Kipper motor when it started spinning on its own, and I mean really spinning, I knew we had something. And so when I come looking at this stuff, I'm looking at it from um, like a Doubting Thomas viewpoint, where I've actually stuck my hand in the side of Jesus, so to speak. It's not a belief, okay? And here we have a question here. When will the interviews in between the speakers be released on YouTube? They should be up there already. If not, I'll find out tomorrow, or Tuesday. We've had a great Labor Day coming up here. I can't believe it's Labor Day already. Seems like the years are going faster and faster, I'm already starting on next year's conference, August 12th to the 16th. Mark your calendars, August 12th to the 16th, 2026. It's a week later in the month. Okay. It seems like if it's from the first of the month, it just seems to jump on you too fast, So I'm sticking with the middle of the month. We'll probably be in Albuquerque, and so I'm looking forward to checking out the hotels and seeing what they can come up with. This year we had a really rough time. We had a floating ground. It blew up about $12,000 worth of equipment. We're trying to figure out how we can help John recover some of that. I'm working with the hotel. Perhaps, they may come through for us. We know now, well, we didn't have these problems last year, but during the year, something happened and that ground got screwed up. And for those of you who are electrically oriented, when the power industry first got started, they didn't really have a ground. But the fire insurance people, or the insurance actually, determined that they would rather deal with fire damage than people getting electrocuted, And so that's the electric unions and that developed a code, of grounding everything, and that way everybody works off a common ground, and it decreased the chances of electrocution. Well, it increased the chance for a fire, But like I said, they thought the fire hazard was a lot less than the electrocution hazard. And whereas people can recover from a fire, you just can't recover from an electrocution very well. Although there have been a few, usually from lightning. But anyway, like I say, it's been a good year, all in all. And I just turned 70, and so I consider any day I can look in the mirror and see myself to be a good day, and I will be continuing to proceed along these lines of research we'll be pursuing, and I hope to get the new location. I should have more space where I can start working on the magazine again, because believe it or not, when you're trying to do research, it takes space, because you need to have space to lay out stuff and organize your thoughts and everything. At least for me, I'm a hands-on type of person. And I like to physically do things as opposed to working on these screens and that, I'm not a video person. That would probably be a weakness these days, because now everything's going towards computerization, but I don't know. I just don't trust computers to begin with. And lately, I noticed that there's been a tendency for I'll be typing along, and then AI will be coming in there and changing what I'm saying to fit what they think I want to say. Well, it's irritating because you gotta really focus on proofreading your stuff more than ever now. And don't be surprised. Uh, don't be surprised if it's the only thing out there. Like it's been changed on you, because it does happen now. So uh, again, next year's conference is going to be August 12th to 16th. If there's any ideas you have that might help us make things better, and let me know. And seeing as how it's taken Joe so long, let me just see. Oh boy, I'm going to put our link up, and you can call in if you'd like to. Fortunately, okay. I think there's a link if you want to hop on here and be part of the program this evening. We'll have to probably reschedule Joe for another night, and we'll see how that goes. Sorry, folks, things like that happens when you're doing stuff live. In this day and age, anything can happen, especially when it comes to electrical stuff. So, is there anything anyone out there needs to have addressed? Hopefully, one of my friends is on the road tonight. He should be leaving Denver about right now, as a matter of fact, and I hope he has a safe trip. He's going to Ohio by bus. Been there, done that. It's nothing like a Greyhound bus ride. I love them. I like Amtrak better, though. There's something about the rolling stock of a train, Okay. So next year, again, we'll be in Albuquerque. Still working on what hotel and the rates, I know inflation is getting out of hand right now. It's going to probably get worse before it gets better. I'm hoping everything settles down within the next 6 months here. But we'll see. We will see. I'm looking at our friends in Ukraine. There you go. It wasn't meant to be for tonight. Rescheduling will be good. Yes. And if you have any ideas for other guests, let me know. Oh, and a sad note, John Peterson of the Arlington Institute passed away last week. He spoke at some of the Tesla conferences, and I met him first up at Aaron's conference, I believe, up in Spokane. He's no longer with us, but the Arlington Institute will be continuing his work, and we'll be putting out some of the information there. Okay. And then we have Mr. Savage here. He's reporting that engineering professors from the local area have met with Jeremiah for water, and he, a Tesla turbine researcher, and they will be doing in-depth research into his Tesla turbine designs. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. I remember there's an anecdote about Tesla. He's speaking to one of his professors, after a professor in the later years of life, and tell him how his design for a pump will make all other pumps obsolete. And the professor goes, well, be a pretty big scrap heap. So yeah, pumps are used everywhere. So yes, sorry. This is a great time of year to be in, Labor Day. For those of you who don't know, the week before Labor Day is when the Burning Man people meet, and they meet up in northern Nevada, and they camp out for a whole week there, and that's great experience. I've been there a couple of times, but it's huge. People go in there, and you're in there for a week, and you can focus. I've stopped going to it. Um, One of the reasons I'm not really interested in going to it again, I don't think, is because they commercialized it kind of. You got all these Silicon Valley types in now. They brought in the cell tower, and the whole point was going out and camping for a week, get away from this stuff, get away from all the phones and everything, and get your thoughts together, and now that that's gone, well, what can I say? Time flies. Okay. And anyway, no one wants to get on here, and I'm running out of ideas, Unfortunately, I think I got to start having a secondary presentation ready, so that we can go on and delve into other topics. If we have a incident like this. So, and here you go, ammo car. I don't think I could go there even once. Well, to each their own, To me, I went with some other people, and going as a group is a good thing. If you ever go to a place like that, RV is the only way to go these days, especially when you get to my age. My camping days of roughing it, well, that kind of went out when I left the Army. There we camped out all the time. We went, did a lot of camping, a lot of hunting, but all things must come to an end, So, the thing I'm looking at is I was hoping to learn more about these lasers. I've seen Joe there at these conferences all the time, and he's been to mine a couple of times, and I've tried those lasers, and they work, but along with anything else, you gotta keep doing it. A lot of times we try things once and we don't get the immediate results, and we tend to just drop it. Well, like anything else, to be really effective, you gotta keep using them. And as you continue using stuff, it has more and more an effect on you. That's the whole thing, when you stop thinking about it, the whole basis for like the Tesla shield, okay, which is basically referring to the entrainment of electromagnetic waves. And one of the things we try to do is the Schumann frequency, which is about 7 or 8 hertz, 7.8 hertz, or something like that, which is the natural resonant frequency of the Earth. And what happens is with the Schumann resonance, they found, as that with the more and more accurate instrumentation, that was changing, and they could get closer and closer to it. So repetition is everything. It's the basis for entrainment. Like, for instance, soldiers marching down the road. You come to a bridge. they always make you. They break stride, and they have you walk at your own pace, And the reason being is if you're marching in cadence across that bridge, you set up a rhythm, and next thing you know, the bridge picks it up. The next thing you know, it starts waving, and then it can even tear a whole bridge apart. We've seen that in nature, the was the Ranzo Straits, in Washington, I believe it was Washington State, where the wind started hitting those wires and set up a resonant frequency. And next thing you know, the bridge just waited until it just completely broke apart. They don't want to be in that kind of situation. You have no control over it as a single individual. Okay, here's some more comments. Okay. Where do I plan to sell my magazines? Well, the magazines aren't really to be sold. They're to be part of the membership, and you'll be getting it, like when we get one done, you'll be mailed to you if you're a member, Membership's $35 a year. It'll be another benefit to the membership we'll be bringing back. Wall Street is buying up crypto. One of my partners, Terry Wolf, he has his own coin called the Go Wolf coin, and he'll be bringing that out, and once he brings that out, he'll be coming and talking about cryptocurrency and blockchain and how the stuff that we'll be doing will be asset backed. It's not going to be floating. Okay. Like the dollar is. The dollar floats, and it's all relative. It's all based upon the full faith in government of the United States of America. And once people lose faith in the government, the dollar is really worthless at that point, And so the most important thing our government officials can do is to do things in such a way to bring credit upon us and that people have faith that we will do what we say we can do, not say one thing and do another. And we'll be going through some of this pretty later on, That and have a strong military. Speaking of military, my next big holiday is Veterans Day, November 11th. My favorite day of the year, especially in Vegas. For those of you guys, vets, Las Vegas on Veterans Day is like trick or treat for vets, and you can go in and to a restaurant or hotel or these casinos and that, they all give you a free meal or something free to eat, like I say, it's great, I encourage, if you're in Vegas, check it out. Veterans Day. Make sure you have your DD-214s or it's on your driver's license. In Nevada, we put it on our driver's license. So, anyway, so with that, I'm just going to go ahead and call it a short night, because I don't think Joe was able to get his computer back up. It just all of a sudden dropped out. He lost his carrier there, and he doesn't know what caused it. And I hate that when that happens to me because you don't know if it's your problem or if it's the problem with your IP and that. But we'll reschedule Joe for next week. I'm pretty sure I'll get with him on that. And if there's anybody you guys want to see, drop me a line, steve@teslatech.info. My email is right below my name there. And I'm sorry for having to issue out these emails so late in the week. I mean, like today just got out today. But right now, for the next 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to have to take and be kind of fluid because I don't know when I get to the new place if they're going to have an internet set up, if I'm going to set it up, what kind of company I'm going to go with. Am I going to use I don't know if they have cable down there or if I'm going to have to use like they have like a broad wireless, in a lot of these places, or if I have to use a satellite. I really don't want to use SpaceX. If I do anything, I'll probably with or Starlink there. I don't want to use Starlink. Here, Earthlink is pretty good. The difference between Starlink and Earthlink, outside the price, which is significant, Earthlink is one satellite, way up there, more like in a geosynchronous orbit. Okay, whereas Starlink, they have a whole constellation in low Earth orbit, which I really hate seeing because it takes away from the viewing in that, and it confuses the background of the stars. But we're stuck with that. So like I say, Starlink or Earthlink, are an option. Perhaps Quest will be there with DSL. DSL is great, for long distance. And the one thing about DSL is like when you have a broadband cable, the more people want it, the more it weighs it down, it slows it down. But DSL is constant speed because there's only one user, there's one line per user, and so it's a lot more stable in some situations. When I lived in Queen Valley, the broadband was terrible because in the winter everybody moves in, it slows it down, but it also throws off the impedance, and the wires and that. And they had to come out and they had to reset everything, And then when the summer, when everybody leaves, they have to do the same thing in reverse. The other thing that happens is because I was on the last end on the cable, is like play crack the whip in school, and when you spin everybody around, the guy at the end just he can't keep up. So it was so bad that Mediacom reimbursed me for a year's worth of a service because they couldn't even talk to me at one point on the telephone because it was so bad. So there's a lot of options I got to consider, get it set up, and then see how it's going to work. Hopefully we'll be okay. After all, we live in the United States. In the United States, everybody has some access to cable, sort of. However, they messed it up. The one thing these Trump people really upset me with is one of the last things Biden did in that last bill is he has funding for broadband in the country, and the whole thing is to get the country people on equal par with city people. And with Elon went and cut that out, in his, and which is really upsetting because Nevada had just got all the paperwork and all their qualifications done to qualify for it. Now they have to start from scratch, And of course, Elon's thing is he wants everyone to use Starlink, and I think that's a crock, because there's nothing as good as wire. In fact, as my personal belief, that we need to get our electrical stuff in wires. We need to stop transmitting so much. Right now, we probably look like this big light in the middle of a dark ocean there in space, and we're advertising the world, come and get us, Whereas if everything was in a wire, it would be dark, a lot darker than we are now. So I'm kind of a viewpoint, no good comes of meeting a more advanced civilization than you. Just ask the American Indian. Just ask every Indian tribe that has come into contact with the white man, you know, or a more advanced race, you know, because the advanced race always wants to take advantage of them. It's just the way it is. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm standing. We've ate up about 40 minutes, and if there's anything anyone wants to know, let me know, and we'll see what happens here. Next week, we'll try to get Joe back, and Joe has a great product. If you get a chance, you should get some. I don't have any at this point, but then again, you know, I'm on a tight budget, and also I do have one that's long before his be put out by Pam Gold, and her when she first come out, and she was doing the red laser stuff. So, but hers I think the one I got would be a red LED though, because I think at that point they were discovering that the LEDs work as good as a full blown laser. So, anyway, I hope to see you all next week. Don't forget to sign up for YouTube and sign up for the YouTube. Get the membership, $9.99 a month. It really helps us. This is the future. I will be putting them up. And one last question here: did you try his lasers at the conference? I tried some at some conferences, but like I say, you know, you need to do this stuff a lot. You know, that's the time you need to get one and take it with you. Like you can get some immediate relief, but to make things permanent, you got to do it all the time. It's kind of like building muscles. You know, you can go to the gym, maybe lift a weight one time, and they ain't gonna cut it. You got to go there and have a regular regimen set up where you do this all the time, and then you're going to start really seeing the results, you know, add up over time. So, kind of like we're hoping to see here with the YouTube channel. We're hoping is the longer we're there, the more members we're going to get, and the more important it's going to be, and the more we'll be able to do stuff and put stuff up there. So, anyway, I'll see you all next week. Thank you for coming. Sorry about tonight, and we'll get this taken care of next week.